following program is classified G. It's suitable for all ages.
Good evening and welcome to Business Best. This is a platform where we showcase the best in the business, and we will be introducing to you people who have excelled in their particular field in order to showcase their latest developments in their respective industry. So now, accounting plays a major role in one's life in order to keep track of your finances or manage your finances, may it be corporate or your personal life. And there are so many firms or academies, institutes out there who will provide you this qualification or this degree in order for you to master this area and probably find a career in the accounting field as well. But now today on the show we have another firm or an academy, I would say, that has gone a little bit beyond the traditional methods of bookkeeping or accounting, I would say. So with that introduction, I would like to introduce you to Kapila Dodamgoda, who is the founder of Academy of Finance and also a regional director of ICMA in Australia. Mr. Kapila, thank you very much for taking the time and joining me on the show today.
Thank you, Shonali, for giving me this opportunity to share my views with you.
Of course. Now, to start off this discussion, Mr. Kapila, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about Academy of Finance and what are the areas that you all master in?
Sure. Now, actually, Academy of Finance, as we identify ourselves as gurus of financial wisdom, is something that I've been thinking for quite a long time. Initially during my professional career in one of the large apparel manufacturers in Sri Lanka with 4,000 to 5,000 employees, where I used to interact with employees from different backgrounds. Those were into production, engineering, marketing, merchandising, HR, so many different fields. And what I found is that as individuals, they are taking lots of decisions where high values of finances are at stake, but sometimes they are encountered with a problem of not having the right knowledge, not having the right financial model to make the proper business decision. So I see as a business, as a person who is heading that business, how business is suffering due to this lack of knowledge of non-finance professionals, number one. And then prior to that, as an investment banker, I had involved in financing lots of people, the small to medium entrepreneurs as well as stable businesses in terms of their working capital and long-term financing. And then what I realized is that these people have fantastic business ideas, they have good business models, but they don't have a proper financial model. So when they don't have a proper financial model, however good this business is, however creative their idea is, sometimes it is difficult for them to take it forward on a sustainable basis. That's another segment that I found. And then, of course, in the corporate sector, we do have very ambitious corporate executives who are very well qualified in their disciplines, they are star performers in their field, but when they want to grow their career, when they want to reach the peak, when they want to become a general manager, a CEO or a director, so sometimes there is one stumbling block is that they don't know the finances. They have fantastic ideas, they have plans, but they lack the language to communicate this across to the audience and their managers, their superiors. And lastly, we also have another segment, qualified financial professionals. We do have lots of financial professionals who have a standard accountancy qualification. Most likely as school leavers, they join an accountancy program, they qualified in finance, but of course the scope and the depth of finance has changed drastically over the recent years. So even though you are a qualified accountant, the diverse fields that you have right now with the developments in these cryptocurrencies, the blockchains, and then the big data analytics and all of that, they need to have different knowledge from the time that they have learned so that they can give what the people want. So in all these spheres, what I realized is there is a dearth of qualifications, even though we have so many different accountancy qualifications, but qualification which meets this requirement, qualifications rather, which meet this requirement, I saw there was an opportunity. That prompted me to actually start Academy of Finance, the gurus of financial wisdom.
Right. Okay, Mr. Kapila. So what are the qualifications that you all offer, the subjects that you all are covering, and from where are you getting this certified from?
Okay, we do have a number of different qualifications, and if I take a couple of them to explain to you, the main qualification that we offer right now is the Certified Management Accountant Australia qualification, because what we see is, like I just told you, the first segment and the second segment I told you, there are lots of professionals like who have their primary qualifications, but then for them to move up in their career, so they need to have financial accumulation, knowledge, and also a qualification to justify that, okay, to claim that I have this knowledge. So therefore, the CMA Australia, the Certified Management Accountant Australia, coming through the Institute of Certified Management Accountants Australia is a qualification for that. And apart from that, if you hear of internal auditing, there is something called internal auditing. For a typical person or even a professional, internal auditing is something to do with the accountant. It is not quite so. It is a completely different profession altogether. And there is the most respected body globally, the Institute of Internal Auditors USA. We also have a partnership with them to offer their certified internal auditor program. That's the second main qualification. Apart from that, there are also different investment related qualifications, because when you say investment, it is just the banking and financial services. The spectrum is very, very wide. A typical finance qualification will not cover anything they will cover, but they will not give you the proper in-depth technical knowledge in terms of risk management, wealth management, compliances, and special financing systems like Islamic financing, green financing, the most trending areas with all this global warming. So, Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment, the CISI, which was started by the London Stock Exchange, is an institute which offers a wide spectrum of qualification in this area. So, we also have partnered with them and offering a certain number of qualifications in the areas that I just mentioned to you. So, these are the key qualifications that we offer, Shanali.
Of course, Mr. Kapila. And you have already, I can see the way you talk also, you have mastered in most of the areas that you've mentioned as well. But in the discussion we had prior to the program, you mentioned that your first degree that you obtained was an engineering degree. So what made you want to shift from engineering to accounts all of a sudden?
Okay, an interesting question. Actually, it was not the first degree. Actually, from the small days itself, I dreamed to be an engineer. I wanted to be an engineer. So actually, I got selected to follow an engineering degree at Morato University. But of course, some of you all may remember, may or know, but probably you may not heard of that. But due to the political conditions that prevailed in the country, the entire university system was non-functional at that time. So therefore, I had no other option, because I started an accountancy qualification, and what eventually happened was, before I entered the university, I already had completed my accountancy qualification. And then of course I got into the university, and second time during halfway through the qualification, again the universities were dysfunctional. And then I actually had developed a passion for marketing, so then I did CIM. And just to tell you, actually I haven't told many people, and I became the prize winner of that CIM final case study qualification, one of the youngest people, and all the others who got that qualification, that prize, they became marketing gurus. Probably I may be the only person who opted to be a finance guru after doing that. So that is actually the circumstances which actually prompted that. So but beyond that, of course, I did my higher studies in economics. I did my masters in international economics, as well as did a couple of other accountancy and finance related qualifications, foreign qualifications, and I'm a fellow of a number of accounting bodies, global accounting bodies.
All right, well, that's very inspirational. That would have been a major shift from engineering to accounting, but here you are today. Now, coming back to the Academy of Finance, there are so many other academies and institutes out there who provide the qualification of accounting and bookkeeping or whatnot. So what makes Academy of Finance stand out from the rest, and what's the competitive advantage that you all have?
Okay, good question. Right, now probably what I have to say is, if I may use the right word with your permission, I may use instead of the word stand out, I probably could use the word unique. Because like if you take an academic institute which offer a standard accounting qualification, then you will be competing with these other institutes to offer the standard qualification, right? Or else if you are offering a typical master's degree, you will be competing with all the other institutes which will be offering a similar master's degree. But in our case, the qualification that we offer are not offered by anybody else. Because in our case, the type of qualification we have identified, like I told you, the need of the finance professional, need of the non-finance professionals, and based on that we brought in the qualification which are required by the individuals and which are required by the corporate sector. So I would say that that is the main uniqueness that we have. So we don't follow others, we create the path and probably the others follow us. That's number one. And apart from that, of course, as a very highly professionally oriented academic organization, we are very careful about our lecture panels. Because like say you see lots of people, individuals who are recently qualified, they get into teaching and lecturing, but in our case we are extremely careful and we get the best of the professionals who has the right professional experience in their field and the right mix of qualifications to before we recruit them to the panel, and they are a very dedicated panel of lecturers. Just to tell you, I wanted to find a lecturer for a very specific program, and 1 year I spent in finding the right person, and I found 2 people from one of the best international banks, and we launched the program, and to date all the students who have done that international program, every one of them have been successful in their business. So I would say my academic panel is my main strength, and apart from that I have a wonderful staff, all females. It happened to be that all female, 100% female empowered organization. So they have a wonderful job. I mean, I don't feel that it's only females we have in this organization. They do a great job. And after every batch, I get lots of positive compliments about the way they have helped their students. So I would say those are the fact that we go and find new qualifications depending on the need without following anyone, having a fantastic panel of lecturers and having this great staff who's ready to do wonderful things with me. I would say that is the uniqueness of Academy of Finance.
That's amazing, like to know that all of your staff are female representatives also. And was it planned out or did you do
Not
it?
necessarily. It happened to be that, okay, the first couple of employees were females by chance, but then it came to a situation where it looked a bit odd to have a different combination, but they delivered their tasks beyond our expectations, so we continued like that. So they are absolutely comfortable in working in partnership in this wonderful organization.
All right, Mr. Kapila, I would like to know more about this Academy of Finance as well, but we'll have to hold your thought on that. We'll go into a short commercial break. We'll be back soon. You're watching Business Best. Welcome back to Business Best, and we are in discussion with Mr. Kapila Dodamgoda, who is the founder of Academy of Finance. And Mr. Kapila, I think you gave a very good introduction to what Academy of Finance is and the subjects that you all are providing and the qualification where you're getting it from. So to continue with the discussion, I want to know, what is the selection criteria you have now for the people who want to enroll in this academy? Because you said this is not just a certificate level, it's not a degree, but this is a professional qualification also. Is there something that you're looking from the people who want to enroll with you?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I told you at the beginning there are a couple of different qualifications that we have, but if I may start with the CMA Australia program. It is not a school level accountancy qualification. You need to have a minimum university degree to join the program. If not, you need to have a master's degree. So actually to share with you, more than 95% of our the students, they do have their master's degrees as well, and we do have those who have PhDs, medical doctors and professors from universities, all sorts of professionals joining there, and their profession could be into marketing, engineering, banking, IT, HR, all different fields, finance, and otherwise we do have professionals from these areas. Not only that, if you take the typical profile of, say, last class that we had, in a class of about 40 to 50 students, we do have a couple of CEOs from large organizations, couple of functional heads, directors of good multinationals and large companies, and very senior banking professionals and engineers, as well as young to medium part career level business executives and managers. So we have a very wide spectrum of participants, and when you teach with them, it's almost like having a boardroom discussion because they are so matured, unlike when you teach some kids where the kids feel scratching their head and thinking, why the hell my parents have asked me to do this qualification. Here, these are the professionals who have identified the need and they want to change their career and earn their respect by doing this qualification. So it's a wonderful experience when we choose these individuals based on these qualification criteria that the institute has.
Is there a specific target market that you're focusing on? Is it mainly for the corporates or there are individuals also?
Well, actually depends on the individual. There are some instances, probably good 50 to 60% of the participants, they are promoted by the corporates and they want them to follow this program. That is number one. And then the balance is on their own. They have identified that there is a need. This is the way to move forward in their career. So then they have identified. And sometimes there are entrepreneurs, like say who have startups, who are mature businesses, and the second generation business owners who have identified very well that okay, if without finance knowledge it will limit their scope, so they also have joined. So therefore it's a broad answer that I had to give you, Shana.
Right, okay. Now the pandemic, the COVID pandemic struck the whole world like 2 years ago and all the businesses were affected.
Exactly.
Did this pandemic affect your business in some sort of way, and what strategies did you take to overcome these challenges?
Okay, a good question. It has affected everything that we did in our business.
Of course.
From the way we marketed the business, where we used to have a leaflet, somebody used to come and talk to one of our council and get enrolled to the program. Now it is completely digital and virtual marketing that we had to opt to during the pandemic time. And we have students who have joined 1.5 years ago and done the entire program without even seeing us, without even visiting us. And then what happens is, if you know, the social media habit keeps on changing prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic, after the pandemic. So then capturing this audience virtually was actually a challenge. But however, we made that successfully. And I am going to tell you actually the first batch that we had after the COVID, we had that single batch, we had the number of students equivalent to the entire student base of the previous year. So we had such a fantastic growth, and even now after it is settling down, we had good 30 to 40% growth in our professional program. That's with regard to the marketing. And with regard to the operations, yes, and we all were used to deliver lectures face to face, online, keeping eye contact, seeing the expressions, seeing the gestures and postures, and that was the way we used to lecture. But with this, we had to immediately switch to online lecturing. I have not, mind you, I haven't heard of Zoom before the pandemic started, but we haven't cancelled even a single lecture. We just mastered everything. We started lectures on Zoom, and they were conducting with all the new platforms. So that was the second challenge which we made successfully. And thirdly, of course, the lecturers also found it difficult because they have to find a different ways of, instead of using the blackboards and the whiteboards. So you have to have different simulations and the tools and Excel most of the time. They actually did a big sacrifice, spending hours and hours in developing these programs. So they were all challenges. I would say every single challenge we met, including conducting the exams online without spending hundreds of $1,000s. We have our indigenous solution, but very successfully we have been conducting exams also online. So therefore, what I would say, if you ask the question, yes, we had numerous challenges, but what I am going to say, with my staff and with our lecturers' support, we met all of these challenges successfully. And as an organization which was limited to mostly Colombo, a limited audience, we have been able to go beyond boundaries and reach different corners of the country, and not only that, reach beyond our boundaries to get students from typical countries like Middle East countries, not only that, countries like Malawi, Vietnam, Indonesia, we have been getting students to our portfolio. But I would say then, I should not say that publicly, but it has been a blessing for us because it has shaken us and it has shown us a lot of new avenues, I think, which we have successfully capitalized on.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, you would say in a way the pandemic had helped you to expand your capacity into other areas as well. So what were some of the challenges that you faced initially when you're starting up prior to the pandemic? Were there specific challenges that you had difficulty in coping up with?
Well, of course, we had this Easter attack during that period. Of course, there were the slowdown of the business activity. But apart from that, one challenge would be basically, like, we are a relatively small organization. I would call ourselves a boutique educational institute. So when we are looking at the best qualification globally, right, as a smaller establishment, getting the right partnership with the right educational institute has been a challenge, but of course we've been proving it takes time for us to develop and nurture relationships with these professional bodies, but all the professional bodies we have started working with, we have very good relationships, but at the same time we are also selective in terms of what institutes that we work with, because we get lots of proposals from different institutes in different parts of the world, but we choose very carefully in the niche area that we want to operate. And also if we feel that a particular institute is not meeting our expectation with regard to the education, we are not hesitant to stop the relationship with these institutes, and we also have done that in the past despite the fact that we have been having hundreds of students for those programs. So
all right, Mr. Kapila. So when the certification that you all are providing, it's all partnered up with international bodies. Did you have any challenges like partnering up with Australia or US or UK in order to grant this certification for you?
No, I think what has happened is I was very much lucky in that sense, because when they were looking all these institutes, when they were looking for partners, so due to all known close parties, only they have been looking for opportunities here in Sri Lanka. So therefore, I have gone to them with a lot of recommendations, and I've started working with them during the initial parts of their introduction to Sri Lanka. So therefore, I would say I've been fortunate in that context to be introduced by someone who is credible, who is respected. So that's probably what I got to say about that, Shanali.
All right. So other than the certification that you all provide, there's another segment that you mentioned that you all provide counseling or workshops for personal management, financial management as well. What made you want to go in there, and how is it going right now?
Okay, interesting question, Shanali. Actually, what happened was, this again not the company that I work for, another one of the biggest apparel exporters in this country. There were two CEOs who were personally known to me. They told me, Kapila, now we have a problem with our staff, whether they are junior managers or senior managers or the top level executives. No matter how much we pay them, they always have financial problems. And they asked me whether we have a qualification which will help them to plan their financial aspects well. So then of course we said, no, sorry, there is no qualification like that. But then I did a lot of research in that area, because a country like ours, of course, we know from the small time we are taken care of our parents, and unlike in the western part of the world, kids are not given the opportunity to be on their own and manage their finances. So we are not used to that mentality. But of course in the western part of the world there are lots of literature, there are lots of research that has been done. So I went through this and I created this program, personal financial management. And as an individual, the shortest version is that, say if you come for that program, you will be given some sort of templates, and you look at what is your vision, what is your dream in your life, and what are your financial goals, and to achieve that, what exactly you need to do, how you manage your income, your expenses, and then in case you want to borrow, how you would borrow, and in case you want to get a credit card, how you will manage that, and all of that, and up to the retirement, how you plan for your retirement, and beyond the retirement, how you will have your enjoyable life. Because no matter however much money we have, that I realized through these sessions, unless you plan your financials, your life, you will not enjoy the life the way that you can enjoy. So this was the program, that was the start of that program. But apart from that, of course, due to with the invitation of these companies, I have conducted hundreds of, I would say exceeding 1,000 one-on-one counseling sessions for the participants of the program, and also the people who had the need, and where I got a fantastic insight actually on these areas, which I kept incorporating into my trainings, and that's something that really enjoy. And just to share with you, during the pandemic time, initially you would have heard there are lots of companies, including the big companies, they started with the job cuts, the salary cuts, and people were panicking, loan restructuring. So I created this program, creating a winning financial plan during the pandemic, and I wanted to deliver it free to at least 500 participants as my service to the Sri Lanka COVID affected people. At the end of the day, I have delivered it to more than 2,000 people on my own without any charge in so many different companies, NGOs, and different professional bodies and networking bodies. So that's the details.
That's amazing, Mr. Kapila, and I would say that is really useful right now, because in schools or in your academic path, nobody is teaching you exactly how to manage your finances, and I believe that you are doing a very useful job right now. Again, thank you. This is all the time we have on the show right now, so we'll have to end the program, but thank you very much for sharing your ideas about Academy of Finance, and I wish you all the very best. Thanks again for taking the time to join me on the show.
Thank you, Shanali. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share with your audience my views and my thoughts about this. Thank you.
All right, so that was the end of this week's episode on Business Best. We will be back again next week with another service or product that will interest you. If you couldn't watch us on air, you can always rewatch by catching us on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Derana English. I'm Suzanne Shanali. Have a good night.